Hey dudes, Khraze here, back into Marvel's Avengers, and today let's take a look at some even more amazing farming methods that you're definitely going to want to do in this game. Especially so since I now kind of fear that Crystal Dynamics has already started working on a fix for our 2-hour method, but don't worry, I got a few more ones that are even better than that. They are 100% legit, but most important of them all, they provide the highest amount of XP, power level increase, and of course some really awesome patterns that you might want to get if you also want to unlock way more outfits. So if you enjoyed this video at any point, it would be super awesome of you if you left a like on it, and let's jump right into it. Anyway, let's begin with a test that I actually did because one of you guys raised this very important topic yesterday and it does actually make sense. So one of you guys told me that it's much easier to upgrade your low level gear so that you get power level increases much faster. So the hypothesis here was that if you upgrade your gear about 10 levels, let's say, you will get gear that's going to be appropriate to your new level and not the old one. And unfortunately I wasn't able to 100% confirm that because after doing some testing I found out that that was actually the complete opposite. So basically I went in with my low level Hulk. I was about power level 35, and what I did is I completely upgraded everything that I had up until I reached power level 44, and I don't think anything that I had was below 38 or 40 give or take, but that was around the power level that I had. Unfortunately, every single piece of gear that dropped for me next was pretty much as if nothing happened, and it was still 35 like how it was supposed to before actually doing the upgrade. The only thing that dropped higher was a 42, but that was because I was doing one of those iconic missions that, as I've said, already drop like 7 to 10 power levels on top of your current one, which was still 35 and not 44 or 45. So there you have it. If anybody else wants to confirm or disprove this, please go ahead because we could really use some more testing, but for now it seems that wasting your resources on low level gear is really not worth it at all. Nonetheless, we did talk about a number of other farming methods in the previous videos, like the Black Widow iconic mission, the first one in the chain. It gives you like 3 levels for 10 minutes, and I did test this one out with other characters and I can confirm that I still get 3 levels for those 10 minutes. I just don't get the guaranteed legendary at the end of that, which is kind of unfortunate, but we're not here for that. Nonetheless, there is one way better in the game, and actually something that you can start really early on, as early as, let's just say, power level 20, which is going to be the Mistaken Identity mission, the first iconic mission for the Thor chain line. So basically this is going to be much better than that because it provides 4 levels for just about 12 minutes in total, or 10 if you're really good at it. So basically you're gonna go in, you're gonna have this really awesome mission with Thor. You can also play with other characters, by the way, because it also works similarly. So the first level that you're going to get is probably going to be around the very first encounter, basically right next to this monument right here, because there's a ton of enemies over there that will spawn, and some of them are also on the higher end of things, so XP rates are also going to be much higher. But the one place that is actually more important is going to be the one that is right after this. So basically you're going to reach this entrance to the facility, but the doors are locked. Basically both the second and the third level you will gain these right here because there is a huge amount of enemies on the high end that will constantly spawn. So as you sabotage those transformers, you are going to want to also take down all of the enemies in the area, since they do provide that level increase over there too. So it was definitely a surprise when I saw this one. But the fourth level that you're going to get here is right in the final encounter in the facility, and for me it happened just as I finished the main objective and killed the end boss over there. So that's about 1 level for almost every 3 minutes that you're wasting over there, though realistically speaking you're also doing a lot of walking between these objectives, so if you could cut that time even shorter, then it's going to be even faster. The next one is a Shield faction mission. This is called Bad Blood. It's basically on this side of the map. It only gives you 3 levels, but it also takes under 10 minutes to complete, so about 9 minutes give or take depending on your speed. Basically you get one of the first levels by the time you reach this really tall aim building right here. You will fight a ton of elite aim units over there, but most important, this elite aim team right here that is going to be really high level, and as such will provide some much better rewards. The second level is going to be during the sabotage phase inside of the big aim building. So you will reach this point right here, you kind of have to sabotage all of these turbines or whatever they are, and you are also going to be encountering a ton of high-end enemies, including some of these adaptoids too and some of the other mechs, so they also provide some really nice rewards. But the final one is going to be when you defeat the end boss in this location. So once you finish that boss, you kill him, it's going to finish that story for you and is going to provide that third level right here. I really wish that the boss right here, since he is a humanoid, would have dropped a DNA key or maybe some polychoron, since that's what the description of that material actually lists, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. Though I will say that it more than compensates with the fact that it almost always guaranteed spawns patterns, especially if you reach 5 stars. So I basically completed a ton of faction missions, both for SHIELD and the Inhuman Alliance, and it seems that every single time without fail, if I completed it with 5 stars, it gave me a legendary reward as well as a pattern, but usually that pattern was a rare quality. So I wonder if I were to play on the brutal difficulty or challenge 4, would it give an epic pattern or maybe even a legendary? If somebody can verify that, that would be super awesome of you. Nonetheless, there's more than that. Let's go back to some other iconic missions, but this time around for Hulk, and it's going to be his last iconic mission that he gives. This one takes about 14 minutes to complete, and I kind of took my time with it. It could have been way faster than this, but it did give me 4 levels and quite a ton of items in there too. So basically you have a ton of zones in here that are filled with enemy. The first one is going to be the very first lab room that you encounter right as you start the mission. It's basically going to keep spawning high-end enemies that you can easily take with Hulk right here, basically just slamming in the ground and kinda AoEing everything. The second one was right on the top of this building, where you kinda have to go in and hold your ground as you disable this gamma machine, but there's also a ton of enemies spawning around and coming to you very tightly, so you can just use your ultimate and take down everything really fast. The third location in this level that you're going to gain a level into is going to be right after the previous one, basically in this very parking lot, where you will be fighting these elite aim teams that are going to pose a problem, but they also provide a ton of XP, so you have to take down their shields, which Hulk is more than capable of doing, and once you have done that, you can go into the next section where you will also find quite a ton of enemies there too. But the final level, I got it just as I defeated the boss, and you might want to pay attention to it because it's not going to pop up, but it is going to count, and you will see it on your end card right here as you finish the mission. The only thing about this mission is the fact that you kind of have to do it a bit later as you level up, because it has a minimum requirement of about 40 power level, so if you go in too soon, you aren't going to be able to defeat the boss, and it's just going to be a waste of time. Nonetheless, this brings us to our fourth and final method, and by far the best of them all, and I will have to give a huge shout out to one of you guys, because it was one of you guys who actually recommended me this location. So huge shout out to Matthew W for actually recommending the More Than Inhuman mission, which is basically an Inhuman Alliance mission that you're going to be able to do in that chain. It also takes like the most amount of time, about 20 minutes, but it also provides the most amount of levels, which is over 5, so definitely by far the best of them all. So the first level you're going to get right in the main facility. You kind of have to go in and sabotage like 3 stations. It's going to spawn a lot of enemies. It's also like on a multi-level section, but it's super easy to take everybody down, and you're going to get quite a lot of XP over there too. Once that's done, the mission points you to a rescue of this resistance team. You go in over there and you're going to see that a ton of waves keep spawning, so again a super easy spot to go in and gain the second level. The third one is going to be a little bit later. Basically you have to kind of secure this checkpoint next to these bunch of stairs, but there's also a ton of enemies spawning from all sides, so if you're playing with somebody like Hulk or anybody that can do some really massive AoE, it's going to be super easy to tap everybody and just get those levels really quickly. The fourth one is going to be in one of the last phases when you're going to rescue the Inhumans from these cages. Basically there are 4 cages that you need to open up by accessing those 4 control points in the main console right there at the top, but there's plenty of enemies enemies you can take down, and you're gonna be able to level 2 times over here. First time just taking down those enemies, and the 5th time is going to be right as you finish that mission. And yeah, just like in the case of the previous faction mission I talked about, this one also rewards a pattern if you complete it with 5 stars. So definitely go ahead and try to do that because it's going to be super worth it. Now these are the ones that I covered in this video. Of course there might be many more on top. If you have any more, go ahead and don't hesitate to post them in the comment section down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up on it would be super awesome. Also don't forget to subscribe and activate that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one.